Hi, I am Terrance Smith, a father, number one. I have a business for the last 18 years that is called Piper's Fire Protection. We do residential and commercial fire protection. My number one passion outside of being a father is the Peaceful Warriors. We are a free AAU basketball team here in the Stockton community, and we host monthly tournaments for free, which helps our program operate with community support as well. I have a message of there's a big thing now, people want to chase the bag. That's the new saying, you know. There's nothing new under the sun. They just call it different things at different times. You've also heard the rat race, you know, so then if we're in the rat race, we're chasing the cheese. But it's all these things are things outside of us that are actually tools and should be used accordingly with some purpose. Because when we chase a bag, we're distracted from realizing our own true potential power. And that power is unlimited, but we have to get in tune and in touch with ourselves in order to realize it. The reason that I feel so passionate about the message that's been given to me is I've experienced it and I see it so clearly. Like, my vision is so clear on it that it's a big problem, you know, from deaths in the community to division in businesses to just overall division and divide and no collective unity, is because the purpose is not over the paper. The paper and the bag is, you know, we're chasing this and we're not in tune with ourselves and the most important system that we do have the power to change, and that is ourself. You know, we focus a lot on these outer systems, but the system that we have power over and that we could change is within ourselves. About 8 years ago, again, I've been in business for 18 years, but about 8 years ago is when I really come to this realization. And 2008 hit me in 2012. It basically had me working double the amount of work for half the bag weight. So more money, more problems. Stress kills more than the streets, potentially. So you could go into a legitimate game and be destroyed or consumed by money or issues if you don't balance or set boundaries. So about 8 years ago, one morning I woke up and they called it anxiety, but it felt like I was gonna die. It felt like death was calling me for the first time. In all actuality, I was afraid. They say you shouldn't fear death. So apparently I wasn't living my life completely or fully as I was supposed to. So that was my wake up. That was my wake up. I was already kind of woke, but that was my wake up. And the next day I actually created a garden and I told my daughter, who was 3 at the time, that I would show her balance. And I'm still working on that every single day. And what I mean by balance is money cannot buy time. Money cannot replace time. Money is a tool, once again. So the information, this type of information is priceless. This type of information can change the next generation. But if we're focused on the wrong things and distracted from realizing our own potential power, then these things will not manifest. Another part of what happened to me 8 years ago, I made a decision. So I started my business in the Bay Area And that week, I decided to not go or start to turn down work in the Bay Area. That's where all the money was. I'm a contractor. That's where all of the availability of work was. And I didn't know what I was gonna do, like a lot of people start new, or how I was gonna do it and how I was gonna survive. But that was a sacrifice that I was willing to take. And from that day, I turned down a lot of money in the Bay Area. And God's grace, a new code came to the state of California that required, 2 years later, by the way, that required fire sprinklers in all homes in California. So that created a new opportunity for me, because before it was only buildings over 4,000 square feet. 5,000 square feet. So the pickings were very slim. So like for the last 5 years, I've been rebuilding myself, and the wheel is now back churning in our favor. And homes, we're doing a lot of homes here in Stockton, or have a lot of homes on the books here in Stockton, and can be much more selective in the work that we decide to take on. And have the time and the balance. Without that decision, Peaceful Warriors would not be in existence. Without the decision I made 8 years ago, the sacrifice I made 8 years ago, the promise that I told my daughter that could live way beyond me, I created the idea, or the idea was instilled in me, but it's for the community, by the community, and we are open to any and all help. And this can totally outlive me. This could be in every city, in every state. There's enough money and there's enough resources of NBA players or successful people where they can put the money into these programs, and these kids shouldn't have to pay. But see, the paper comes before the purpose, and I don't knock anyone's hustle. But then our kids are obligated to paying, and then the competition and all the things, the politics, get in the way of the purpose of saving these children. And that's my mission. How important is it for me to be a mentor and a father? Number one, a father is so important to me because my father or my dad were not physically in my life. And I have made every sacrifice, my own happiness and peace at times, to be in my children's life. And to be a mentor is just the same, because my child is your child. This is a village of children in our future. So I see the need, and I give myself fully to the children of the community, because it's something that I did not have. And I think that's what really drives the passion behind what I do. What advice do I have for Black men? I think the advice I have for Black men is the same as I'm holding upon myself, and that is to realize our potential power, but that same power that has unlimited possibilities, if it's not tunneled correctly or distributed correctly, it can be destructive. So that's where ego and division and all these lines lie. I would say to Black men to work on the system that we have total control over, and that's our system. Mental, physical, spiritual. And the number one tool to that is getting to know your breath, because there's no magic tool or drug that's gonna give you peace, maybe temporarily, but the one tool that you do have at your disposal, and it's the first thing you do from birth and the last thing you do at death, is your breath. And yoga actually taught me that, and that's a great practice to learn it. That's the advice I would have for Black men. One of the key things I feel that prevents Black men from sharing or dealing with counseling of any sort is a distrust of this system that we are involved with, from the medical to the political. I watched my mom go through years of depression and anxiety, and basically the lack of self-love. And that is the key to healing. That is the key to growth outside of what we have been stuck and stagnant in. I watched her take a lot of pills, drink a lot of Diet Coke. She wasn't an alcoholic or drink any alcohol, but she took prescription pharmaceuticals, smoke a lot of cigarettes, and like I was saying before, move to many places to try to find or change her reality. But what I learned through that, so I have a saying, it's nothing new under the sun again, but the way I put it together is there's a lesson. There's never losses, only lessons. So what I learned through that was, we have to change how we see things and how we deal with things, because all the things she was taking to deal with these problems that she was facing was actually causing more problems and hurting her health and destroying her body. She died of leukemia when I was 19 years old. So I'm 46 in January. I don't discuss it a lot, but sometimes when I do, it's still healing that's happening. So that pain is still in me and has not been processed. So there's that breath I'm telling you about. So I lost her due to leukemia, cancer of the blood. She was poisoned. Outside of our environment. Can you give me 1 second? I want to be clear. It's crazy though, like it's 26 years, like. All right, so outside of our environment, the things we eat, the things we drink, the air that we breathe, that is so healing for us, is poisoning us. So then we decide to do or take or even be subscribed things to ease this pain that runs so deep from generation to generation. But you can't run away. Like, you have to face yourself. You have to go within yourself. You have to learn to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself or fully respect yourself, that will be accepted from others and things outside of you. We also been taught, which I just did, I held in my pain. I held in my tears. I bottled it up. That causes explosions, but just this isn't the time, and I utilize my breath to control my emotion. But I have come to an understanding, a man must cry. A man must release. A man must show his vulnerability. We've been taught, though, suck it up, be tough. Don't be a sucker. Don't be a punk, That's weak. That will destroy you. Love is the most powerful force in this universe. And when you haven't been taught to love, It's difficult to love. So I would like to tell young men, it's okay to be different. It's okay to cry. It's okay to love. Everything outside these doors and outside these streets is gonna tell you different. And it's gonna tell you to chase the bag, get the money, F the B, you know, this caveman mentality. We come from a history of greatness. The woman was left to run the kingdom, you know? But from the game, even from the game of chess, we've been bamboozled. We taught the queen is not important. She's the most powerful piece on the board. Without the feminine energy, the masculine energy is useless. I'm learning this, I haven't perfected it. But it's so important, it's so important, it's so important. It's so important. There was a time where I wouldn't even talk, like I wouldn't express myself. And these things are so important, but everyone doesn't listen though. Everyone doesn't have that open ear, but it's important to get these things out and to release and to grow from them and to learn from them and to actually get the lesson from any loss you may have suffered or been a part of. Because if you don't, that's why they say history is so important. You'll repeat the same mistakes. We'll continue to make the same mistakes. So again, back to the bag. If we're distracted by the bag, if we're chasing the bag, we're not realizing our unrealized power, our unrealized potential. We're missing what is most important, and we can't make real change focusing on things outside of ourselves, period. It just can't happen. We do need money. Money is a tool, but you have to use it wisely or it'll destroy you. Just like the sun, it's the most powerful thing that we see, right? That we can physically see. But it'll burn you up, it'll destroy you. You're harnessing that same type of energy, that same type of power within you, including the unseen, the breath. They say it's God's breath. I don't believe God is a man. To me, it's a power, it's a force. A man can't create, a man, I'll leave that alone, but that breath is just as powerful as that sun, just like that water that you made 70% of, 80% of, whatever the number is. The balance in between that and understanding, again, your system, not this worldly system. She died when I was 19 years old. I'm about to be 46 in January. That's a long time ago, but it's deeply rooted right. And there's no jewel. That's a jewel that's irreplaceable. So when she was here, like a lot of my young men, I don't want to hear that, Mom, you don't know this game, right? She had 5 brothers from Richmond, California. She knew what she was saying. She understood what she was saying, just her delivery and her approach wasn't correct. Like my delivery and my approach sometimes is not the best, but the message, if you could see past the delivery, if you can understand and comprehend and learn from someone else's mistakes, someone else's losses, you won't have to experience the same thing. But we have thick skin, we have hard heads, we gotta be burned by the fire to get it. But what if that's your life? A lot of these young men, you were asking about the young men and like just touching on the young men, they think death, we're fantasized. When I was a young man, it's like a Scarface and living a dangerous life, and it's like it's romanticized. It's a fantasy, like being a real nigga, right? Is going to jail, going to the pen. I've been one time for 4 months. and it felt like a lifetime. I never want to go back. I don't sacrifice my purpose for the paper, no longer. I realize I am the bag. I am the bag. My energy within me that from God creates anything my mind can think. Anything my mind can vision, anything my mind can see can be created with my physical body in this physical reality. They say our words are spells, like you're casting a spell. Words are powerful. The English language is even tricky, and why it's tricky and why it can be confusing. A word can sound like it's not even spelled like it's pronounced, or it's not even, because it comes from something that's natural. You know, it's a offbeat, off-brand. It's not the original. So they made it. Everything made is for somebody's somebody's benefit, right? So the English language is very tricky, and you are. It's like casting spells. Like I believe that. Like you were just saying, if I speak it into existence, or if I put the self-doubt into my mind, I have stopped myself. So I used to, and the OG told me, he said, I don't listen to that crap no more. This is when I thought I knew everything. I was about 20. He said, I don't listen to that crap no more. I listen to jazz, and it's calm and it's mellow and it affects me. So, but he didn't explain the science behind it. I don't think he understood the science, but he understood the experience. He understood that when he listened to this, he felt like this. When he listened to that, he felt like that. I didn't, because I hadn't experienced it and I wasn't interested in experiencing it. But it's even deeper than that. Like, we're vibrations, if you don't know. So this shirt, I just found it yesterday. It says, follow your sound. And then that's deep. Some people may not understand, like follow your voice, follow your heart, follow your mission, follow your purpose, but your sound, you're a vibration. Like, you're made of little atoms. Like a picture of a TV is pixels, right? A bunch of little pixels make the picture you see. We're made of a bunch of little atoms. The law of attraction. So what I'm vibrating, what I'm putting out comes back to me. That's what they call karma. So if I'm vibrating positively, then you get positive. Not saying that it's gonna be all good, but it's, again, how you respond, how you react to whatever it may be. So the vibration and what we consume has a big effect on our vibration as well. So what I'm consuming, my food, what I'm consuming in music, has a big effect on what I give out, what I produce. I understand that now, so I'm careful of what I listen to. Not saying that if that song I used to or hear, sometimes it's catchy and it sounds good, but even beyond the words, do you know that the beats, the megahertz affects our vibrations? Like, I'm learning that now. Like, this is science. Math and science are key. And if you can tie in yourself, learning yourself, like if children learn this, math, science, and self, you will be a master of the world. If you learn from a young age yourself, how you operate, because everything outside, inside, you were made in the image of the power, the God, whatever you want to call it. Everything from a camera to a TV to a car is made in the image of you. If you understand you understand all things. It's period. It's that simple. The main thing that I learned in a positive aspect is my father. I have a father and a dad, which is very unique, but that's another story. They weren't in my life. So my dad was in my life financially. You know, he would send me money or do this for me or do that for me, but he did not teach me to defend myself. He didn't teach me to ride a bike. He didn't teach me to throw a ball. So that has definitely shaped me. And I'm in my second relationship and with my wife now, and we have 5 beautiful children. And prior to that, I was in a relationship and I have 2 children. through that relationship, and I have sacrificed my own happiness as my partners have, as we learn ourselves and to love ourselves. But for me, it's to be in my children's life. That has been the biggest impact. And I think that also plays a big role in what I do in the community, trying to be, or being a mentor, father figure, as you could say, to some of these young men, because I didn't have that. And I knew how important that was. And yeah, it's so important. And a lot of these kids, I see myself. And that's why we do the basketball thing, to provide an opportunity for them, because they don't have any other outlets. There's nothing else there, and it's free. Ours is free, so there's absolutely no cost except for energy and commitment. If anyone would like to help, be a part of, or get their children involved with the Peaceful Warriors program, we are on Instagram at peaceful_warriors with a Z. On Facebook, Peaceful Warriors Movement. Also, any needs for fire protection or fire sprinkler systems in commercial or residential, Piper's Fire Protection on Facebook, PFP 2002 on Instagram. Thank you, Stockton Black Family Day, for allowing me that opportunity and the platform to express my message and who I am.